Hello audience, welcome to BAETTA International English, IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, ELT and TESOL programs. This is Untitled, Chairman IELTS and Head of Linguistics, BAETTA Bangladesh. As a part of our IELTS 8 Plus guaranteed teaching and training course, this video is on IELTS listening module Part 2, tips, tricks and grand suggestions of questions and topics on listening. Part 2, monologue on general and common social context, incidents or facts. In my previous video, I talked about grand suggestion on IELTS listening Part 1. In this video, I will speak about suggested questions and topics on listening Part 2 on the basis of the latest real test format as well as some latest updates. So, this video is very important to you. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Introduction to IELTS Listening Part 2. IELTS Listening Part 2 is a monologue on a general context or common social incident. In Part 2 of the listening module, you will hear one person talking about something of general interest. There is usually more than one types of questions. You will often need to listen to specific information, that is places, dates, times, names, important words, locations and so on. IELTS listening Part 2 continues approximately for 7 to 8 minutes and is followed by 10 questions of 1, 2 or 3 categories. After audio listening of Part 2, you will have half a minute to check your answers before turning to Part 3. Lesson 2. Question format on IELTS Listening Part 2. According to the latest listening test format, as our candidates got in the latest IELTS listening real test conducted, constructed and administered by Cambridge University ESOL examination, IDP IELTS and British Council, as well as is found in Cambridge IELTS book 9 to 17 in listening Part 2, most common questions as are set in the latest previous test of the lately 3 years are: number 1, one answer multiple choice; number 2, labeling map; number 3, completing table; number 4, multi-answer options; and number 5, matching information. Lesson 3. List of topics. Monologue on general or common social context, incidents or facts in IELTS listening Part 2. The pattern of this section is basically a very general monologue spoken by a single speaker. Example. Number 1. Plant of Stevenson site. Number 2. Minster Park. Number 3. Food available at serving points in food hall. Number 4. Job opportunities. 5. Local council report on traffic and highways. 6. Recreation ground after proposed changes. 7. Matthews Island holidays. Number 8. Timetable for Isle of Man holiday. Number 9. Finding building location at a university campus or park. Number 10. Street flash scheme. 11. Label the map of Croft Valley Park. 12. Briefing on excursion. 13. Volunteers activities. 14. Visit to Brandley Castle. 15. Map of a water plant. Number 16. Introduction talk for new apprentices. 17. Company policy for apprentices. 18. Traffic changes in Grandford. 19. Information on company volunteering project. 20. Moving to Brantford City. 21. Advantages of physical activities. 22. The snow standard. 23. Information about mountain trails. 24. Basement of museum. 25. 3D working heritage farm, etc. Lesson 4. Preparation tips for IELTS listening part 2. Tip 1. Divide and conquer. The recording divides questions into groups, so every time you are instructed to answer a group of 4 to 5 questions. There are 20 to 30 seconds of silence before each group. The first thing you should do when the tape starts playing is to understand which group of questions you need to answer. For example, the tape says, I quote, look at questions 1 to 4, unquote. It means that you have about 20 seconds to look at the questions, then go over questions, read them, and underline keywords. Keywords are words that contain the main idea of the questions. They will help you suggest what you will hear, like numbers, opening hours, names, locations, etc. Draw a line under question 4 so you won't look further before it's time. Then you will hear a piece of passage and answer the questions 1 to 4 as you listen. It means that you should be able to write one answer and listen to another. After that, the tape will say the numbers of questions in the next group. Repeat the same process including drawing the line. This dividing technique is very efficient because every time you concentrate on a limited number of questions, so it makes you more focused and in control. Tip 2. Distractions. Don't get confused by all the different voices you are going to hear. The recording uses several different voices of younger and older people, men and women. You may also hear different accents like Australian, British, American, Canadian, etc. The background noise also varies. It can be of airport, cafe shop, state university, lecture hall, you name it. Be ready for it and don't let it distract you, because that is exactly what they want. Ignore the noises and listen for the answers. Tip 3. Listen for specifics. When you are listening, look for descriptions and details such as dates, places, telephone number, opening hours, years like 1995, transportation like car, bike, train. If you hear them but don't know where to place them yet, write them on margins of the listening booklet. Later, you will have some time to check your answers. Going over the questions that you couldn't answer during the listening phases, you might see that what you have written on the margins fits. Tip 4. Answer as you listen. The reason you have to answer as you listen is that you immediately forget the sentences after you have heard them because of stress, foreign language, a constant flow of information, etc. After hearing the third sentence, you won't be able to repeat the first. It means that when any part of listening is over, you won't be able to remember any of the answers. So write them as you hear them. Leave nothing for later. Tips 5. Keep moving forward. A worst case scenario is you, I quote, losing the sequence of answer, unquote. So you miss one answer and then you miss another on and so on. To prevent that from happening, always look one or two questions ahead. It sounds confusing, but after a little practice becomes very natural and helps a lot. Even if you have missed the answer to a question, admit it and move to the next one, otherwise you will lose it too. Tip 6. Know your clues. The answer is usually pronounced louder and clear. It's easier to hear and understand. If you can't hear something clear because the speaker swallows words or whispers, then probably the answer is not there. With some practice, you will be able to tell the difference. A good clue to answer is when you hear a repetition of a word being spelled out like GARFUNKEL or a number dictated. Tip 7. Eliminate. When you deal with the multiple choice questions, elimination is a good strategy. Usually, only one answer is correct unless instructions say something else. This task is similar to true, false, not given. You should decide for every choice of answer, is it true, false, or not given in the passage. After you have decided, choose the one that is true. This is the correct answer. Any other choice, false or not given, is incorrect. Keep in mind that there are cases when all the choices are correct or none of them is incorrect. Read the instruction carefully and you will know what to do in such case. Tips 8. Gap filling strategy. Look at the words around the gap to understand what's missing. A noun like boy, toy, truck, an adjective like little, pretty, shiny, or a verb like stands, looks, moves. For instance, if you need to see a noun before the blank, the boy is dash, it means that it's adjective. Or the boy is small. Or its verb like the boy is smiling, etc. is missing. Once you have picked a word, write it above the gap and then read the whole sentence to be sure that it makes sense. Tips 9. Chameleon questions. They might use different words with the same meaning to confuse you. It could be expressions or synonyms. For example, the tape says, I quote, all the candidates have to fill an application form, unquote. And the question says, I quote, the candidates must fill an application, unquote. Is it true, false, or not given? The correct answer is true because have to means must. Tips 10. Watch out for traps. You might hear speaker starting to say one thing and then suddenly continuing to something completely different. This is a trap, so make sure you don't fall for it. The rule here is, I quote, last word counts, unquote. For example, if the speaker says, I quote, I want to visit that gallery on Monday. No, wait, I've just remembered. Oh, that it's closed on Monday, so I will go on Wednesday, unquote. And the question is, when dash. The correct answer here is Wednesday and Monday is a trap. Trap number 2, generalizations. You might hear speaker first gives a list of things and then says then all in one word. For example, I could, well, I like to swim, hike and camp, to be involved in outdoor activities, unquote. If the question is what kinds of activities, the correct answer is outdoor and not swimming, hiking, or camping. Trap number 3, explicit answer choices. Explicit answer choices can be and mostly will be traps. The following example demonstrate what I mean. The trap says, I could. This course is a must for all first-year students, excluding foreign students. The question is, I could. All the first-year students have to take this course, unquote. The answer should be F or false because there is an exception for students. All the explicit answers that mean I could, no exceptions, unquote, are suspicious to us and call for more attention. Tips 11. Check the grammar. If your answer you give is grammatically correct, it can't be the right one. Checking the grammar of your answers will give you an idea whether your answer correct or not, especially in tasks like gap filling, sentence completion, etc. Tips 12. Use your time wisely. This is very important for a candidate to use each second very wisely. During the test, you have a little time between passages. Use it to check and complete your answers as accurately and quickly as possible. Tips 13. Copy answers smartly. After 20 minutes of listening test, there are 10 additional minutes. During the test, you have written all of the answers in the listening test booklet. These 10 minutes are given you to copy your answers to the answering sheet, and you should use them smartly. The answer sheet has two sides, one for reading test and one for listening test. So make sure you are writing on the listening side. I include here an example of answer sheet so you can get familiar with it and use it for practicing. First, copy all the answers for the booklet to the answering sheet and pay attention to the following guidelines. As simple as they sound, they are big time savers. Number 1. For multiple choice questions and picking pictures, just copy the letters of the correct answers. Don't circle it. 2. For sentence completion, just copy your answer, not the whole sentence. 3. For true-false not given question, just copy TF or NG, whatever your choice is. 5. For gap fillings, just copy the word you have chosen for the gap. 6. For answer written in short, like professional advice, write the full version, professional advice. 7. Check that all the answers are clear and understandable. Tips 14. Practice, practice, and practice. Play the listening samples and start using the tips while searching for answers. This is the only way to really understand how these tips work. You may have to play the same listening file more than once to practice it. Different techniques like: first, you do the test as a new test. Second, you compare your done's with the given answer sheet. Third, you listen and follow the test scripts. Fourth, you do the test second time and you will do the maximum score correct. Viewers, in my next video, I'll talk about questions and suggestions with tips and tricks on IELTS listening part 3. Stay connected by subscribing my YouTube channel BAETTA Bangladesh. Thank you.